Hi, this is James Gordon here with the second book in the Jack Ryan and John Clark series. The book I'll be talking about today, Patriot Games. This is from G.B. Puma & Sons, and this was published in 1987. This was a good thriller. Definitely had a lot of short yet intense moments of action. Had a lot of interesting locations that the book takes place in. A solid cast of characters within the novel. There were some things I didn't like with this book. One of them, which I'll talk about later in my review, is I felt it was very long. Like, I felt some parts that Clancy focuses like way too much on scenes I felt were not important. He could have cut those out to shorten a bit, because this is a really thick book, and some other things I felt that could have made this book a lot better. But overall, I still had fun with it, and I'll talk more about the issues I had with it later in my review, along with the film the same name, which I actually think is a lot better than the novel it's based on. Alright, on to the book review, and spoiler alert, I will give away crucial details within the story. Plot. In the fall of 1981, Jack Ryan, a history teacher for the United States Navy Academy, is on vacation in London with his wife, Kathy Ryan, a surgeon, and their daughter, Oliver Sally Ryan. He is making his way towards the Mall of London, where Kathy and Sally are waiting for him so they can pick a place to get something to eat. Suddenly, an explosion goes off, followed by assault rifle fire. Ryan pushes Kathy and Sally low to the ground as he sees a blown-up Rolls-Royce with men wearing black ski masks, dark clothing, and armed with AK-47s. It's terrorists. Without thinking, Ryan quickly runs towards one of the attackers with his back turned to him. Ryan knocks down the man, disarms him, and quickly grabs his pistol. Ryan turns to the other two men. One shoots him in the left shoulder as Ryan is able to take out the other guy, but the third attacker flees. Just as the palace guards appear and aims his bullpup at Ryan, he quickly ejects the empty magazine and drops the pistol, stating he isn't the bad guy. His wife comes over and flashes her ID badge, stating she's a nurse and needs to treat his wounds at once. Within seconds, more guards appear, followed by police. Ryan is taken to the St. Thomas Hospital. All the while, Kathy is asking why Ryan nearly risked his life to stop those men. He replies he did to save those people inside the car without thinking about it. The next day, Ryan is visited by Anthony Wilson, part of C-13 anti-terrorist branch. At first, Ryan believes the attack was part of the IRA, but Wilson reveals it's a splinter group, the ULA, Ulster Liberation Army, and their target was the Prince and Princess of Wales, along with their infant son. Wilson explains more about the event, along with giving him a Times magazine, which features him on the cover, and a page going into detail about Jack's background as a Marine. Wilson reveals they contacted the Navy and they gave them all the information about Ryan. He is also told that Kathy and Sally are being looked after. Next day, Ryan is interviewed by Jimmy Owen and other members of C-13 as they ask him a bunch of questions related to his military background, along with his visit to London and what motivated him to risk his life against the terrorists. Ryan explains he's on vacation, along with doing research for a historical book and his history with the Marines, along with a helicopter crash that nearly killed him as his back was badly injured. He left the military and worked in stock market, where he met his wife Kathy, then became a history teacher for the Navy. As for the reason for attacking those men, Ryan reveals it was anger that drove him, stating he was enjoying his trip and meeting nice people when those terrorists appeared and were murdering people right in front of his family, which angered him. Wilson tells Ryan that the UAA terrorist that was captured won't say anything, but they'll have the information on him soon. After getting the answers, the C-13 members are pleased and inform Ryan that he's a hero and there are no charges against him. Later on that day, Ryan is visited by the Queen along with the Duke of England, as she thanks him for his bravery and awards him by knighting him Sir Jack Ryan. She also reveals that his wife and daughter have been staying at the royal palace, and once he fully recovers, he'll get to join them for dinner. Ryan is also visited by the Welsh prince, who thanks him for saving their lives. When Kathy and Sally come to visit Ryan, along with William Greville, Special Air Service, as they are glad to see Ryan is recovering well and looking forward to having dinner with the royal family. Meanwhile in Ireland, leader of the ULA, Kevin O'Donnell, is watching a live news interview of Ryan. He is outraged that an American tourist has screwed up their plans to kidnap the royal family members, as he and other members strongly dislike how the British government have taken over their country, treated their citizens and culture, along with the Bloody Sunday incident. While members ask if they should do something about this Ryan figure, Kevin replies it won't do them any good and should stay focused on attacking the royal family, along with keeping updates on their captured member, Sean Miller, who lost his brother to Ryan. Ryan is then visited by FBI agent Dan Murray, who brings him a burger, fries, and a milkshake as he's getting sick of having hospital food. Dan explains more about the ULA along with the terrorists that's awaiting court hearing, Sean Miller. Dan was sent by the president to see if they can learn more information about the ULA, as very little is known about them, along to aid Ryan should he be needed help during the court hearing. After making a recovery, Ryan leaves the hospital wearing a cast for his arm. To his surprise, he is picked up by the Duke and brought to the castle for dinner, where he meets more royal family members and other British agencies, then is joined by his wife and daughter, who he missed a lot. They have a lovely time at the castle, with Sally and Kathy telling Ryan all the fun they've been having here. While Ryan is trying to enjoy himself but is looking forward to teaching classes again in Annapolis mainland, get his new book published, and Kathy tells her husband that she's pregnant. On the day of the court hearing at the Old Bailey, Ryan testifies against Sean Miller. During the hearing, the judge asks Ryan to tell him what happened on the day of the attack. He goes into detail on that day, while Miller is silently watching him with his cold gray eyes. His lawyer tries pressuring Ryan, claiming that Miller was attempting to help. Ryan stands his ground and tells him that Miller wasn't civilian, as they don't carry pistols or wear ski masks. While the judge believes Ryan, however, he asks if he's still working for the CIA, as this would conflict with their politics, as it would mean Ryan acted against orders. Ryan replies he isn't an agent for the CIA and is only a teacher for the Marines. Satisfied, the judge clears Ryan of any wrongdoing, and Miller is sentenced for life in prison. Ryan, along with his wife Kathy, are pleased that it's all over now, as Dan and Jimmy take them out for a drink, then a tour at the Tower of London before catching a flight back to Maryland. The next day, Ryan and his family leave to Heathrow Airport and board British Airways Concorde Flight 189 back to Washington, D.C. Despite his fear of flying, Ryan has to admit that flying at Mach 1 is incredible and is thankful to return to D.C. safely. Ryan and his family return home at Harrigan Cliff in Chesapeake Bay, close by to the cliffs with a nice view of the sea. While getting back into his teaching job, with both students and coworkers glad to see Ryan is doing well. After one class, Ryan is catching up with his fighter pilot friend, Robbie Jackson. Back in Ireland, Kevin has been keeping track on the whereabouts on Miller, as they're going to move him to Brixton Prison on Christmas Day, and plans to break him out, along with bombing a pub that has British soldiers drinking there. However, the bomber is caught during a raid after Jimmy and Dan were tipped off from an informant. When Miller is being transported to Isle of Wight, but the convoy is attacked with ULA terrorist members, forcing the cops to open the van door and release Miller. Kevin welcomes Miller back and hands him a pistol as Miller kills the constable, with Kevin killing the other cop and flee on boat as they're going to someplace warm. But Miller has been thinking about one thing since he's been captured: getting revenge on Ryan and his family. On Christmas morning, Robbie is visiting Ryan as they put CNN on and are shocked to hear the news of 5 dead officers, 4 civilians killed, and Miller has escaped. Reaching a base out in the desert of North Africa with the aid of our terrorist members, while they won't be able to do any major missions in England, Miller wants Kevin to help him get revenge on Ryan and his family, and after some talking, Kevin agrees to do a hit on Ryan's family. While teaching a class, Ryan is rewarded a Purple Heart medal for his brave actions, with a crude message written on the medal, "Shoot me." After the students leave, Robbie is telling Ryan how happy he is to be flying a Tomcat again when an FBI agent enters the classroom. He asks Ryan if he's heard the news about Miller's escape, which he replies he knows. The FBI agent explains that Dan felt that Ryan and his family might be in danger, as they are unaware what the ULA is going to do next. Ryan wants to know more about this terrorist group, as the FBI tells him to change his routes when going to work and returning home, and to avoid going to the usual places, and to have a loaded gun in his house. While Ryan keeps a Remington 100,000 auto-pump shotgun in his house, however, Caffrey refuses to have a loaded gun in the house because of safety reasons. Robbie takes Ryan to the shooting range to sharpen his skills while chatting with Sergeant Major Noah Breckenridge, or as he likes to be called, Gunnery, who does firearms training. He asks Ryan if he's got any guns in the house and suggests he get a good high-powered pistol and teach his wife to shoot. Ryan isn't sure how his wife will react to this, but plans on getting security installed in case the terrorists attempt to break into his house. While driving back home in his Volkswagen Rabbit, he is checking the Viva mirror, trying to keep himself calm, but can't help shake that Miller is coming after him. Ryan explains to his wife what he's been told and what he plans to do. While Kathy is strongly against the idea of having a loaded gun in the house or using one herself, but agrees to having security installed in the house. She questions if any danger will come to them, but Ryan assures her that he'll keep them safe. Ryan goes to the CIA headquarters and visits Deputy Director James Greer. Ryan asks for his help to gain data on the EOA, along with to assist them. James accepts, allowing Ryan to assist in helping the CIA find more data on the terrorist group while taking more pistol training. Miller and a small group of UAA and African terrorist members have been watching both Ryan along with his wife Kathy, studying their route and planning their attack plan. Miller plans to kill Kathy and her daughter Sally, while someone else will take out Ryan after he leaves the Navy Academy. Kathy picks up her daughter in a Porsche 911 after having a very difficult eye surgery with a 10-year-old boy that fell through a window on his bike and nearly lost his eye. After picking up Sally, she rushes towards the highway as the Ford van follows them. However, as they're on the highway, a squad car spots the two speeding vehicles and plans to pull them over. Miller, in the back of the van, readies his Uzi, and as the driver yells "now," Kathy suddenly notices the van approaching her, along with a man crouched down with a large weapon in his hand, and the white muzzle flashes. Kathy ducks and swerves and crashes her Porsche into a barrier. The driver suddenly notices the squad car chasing after them. Miller fires at them as he hits the cop in the chest, making him lose control and crash. Miller grins as the van speeds off the highway. Ryan is in the middle of target practice when he gets a phone call that his wife and daughter have been in an accident. His face turns white as Robbie takes him to his canny apple red Corvette to reach the hospital quickly. However, the man waiting to assassinate Ryan is noticed by security and is taken down before he can even draw his weapon. While Kathy made it out with a broken left arm and a gunshot wound, however, Sally is badly injured, having to undergo a major operation. Outraged by this, Ryan swears to bring down the UOA and returns to the CIA. Working with a small team and with the aid of military forces, they'll hunt down and destroy the EOA. However, Miller isn't going to rest until he avenges the death of his brother and kill Ryan, but this time Ryan will be ready for him. Patriot Games was a good, gripping, and violent thriller, highly detailed with a solid cast of characters that the novel follows within the heavily layered locations it takes place in, from London, Ireland, Washington, and even Africa. I like the places featured in the novel, along with the many places such as CIA building, Jack's nice house in Chesapeake Bay, Cooley's bookstore with vintage old books, and the terrorist training camp in the desert of Africa. I found some of the characters better than others, while the main character of Jack Ryan was alright. However, I did find him a bit annoying at times when questioning the actions of other characters, and even an attack on a terrorist campsite that he tries reasoning other methods on bringing down these terrorists, as I found this scene unnecessary, as there isn't any other way to take out these terrorists. Sean Miller, I felt, was too quiet during the start of the novel, as he doesn't say anything until he's rescued by his UAA members. I wish he said more at the start of the novel, along with expressing his anger, as he doesn't show much of it towards Ryan until he meets him for the last time. There were a few other characters I liked or disliked, but still a good cast to follow. Other scenes I didn't like were drama between Ryan and his wife's father, who only came to try to start a fist fight over blaming Ryan when Kathy and Sally were attacked, as this leads to a short yet heated argument I felt didn't need to be part of the story, along with other scenes of political drama and other parts I felt dragged on the story, as Clancy is showing too much. Pacing could be good or slow at times depending on what was happening within the story. The action scenes were good, and a few brutal moments with a good detail on the firearms used within the novel. However, the finale I felt could have been a lot better. While it's intense during the first act during a thunderstorm, but towards the end, Ryan is confronting Miller and is about to make him pay for all the pain and suffering he's caused. Gurney convinces Ryan not to kill Miller, stating it isn't worth it. I strongly disagree with this, as Miller nearly got his wife and daughter killed and murdered several other people, and I was waiting to see what this bastard was going to get coming to him. If Clancy cut out some unnecessary scenes, it would have shortened the novel along with improved the pacing, and lastly had a better finale towards the end with Ryan and Miller. I would have liked this novel a lot more. However, the film of the same name, starring Harrison Ford, James Earl Jones, and Sean Bean, I felt was a lot better, improving the story, cutting out the scenes I didn't like, along with a better finale. Overall, Patriot Games is still a good thriller. However, I highly recommend the film as I find it better over the novel. That's our review today. Hope you enjoy. Yeah, I enjoyed reading Patriot Games. Despite the things and issues I have with it, I still enjoyed it. I really like how detailed Clancy is with his stories. Like, you can just visualize being within this heavily detailed, violent world that Clancy creates with these heavy layered characters that you follow throughout the story. You follow both, like, the good guys and the bad guys, and I enjoyed that. I like the scenery in London, Ireland, Washington, Chesapeake Bay, and the other locations that the story takes place in. I like the detail in weapons and vehicles that are in the novel. And there's definitely some really good moments of action. I actually, towards the end, it really cranks up the violence a lot with like the terrorists just using RPGs and like blowing police cars up and stuff. It was like, holy shit, this is really getting good. Um, while I did find the main character Jack Ryan interesting, there are some parts of the story in the novel I just found a bit whiny at times and just a little annoying. Like, there's this one part I really didn't like where he's showing like footage of a French military commando squad goes in and attacks this one terrorist camp, and he is shocked by the violence, and he's disgusted by it, and he is like talking. He's kind of like arguing with the other people there, including this one guy he's been working with, about other methods they could have like handled the situation. And I'm like, what other ways do you want them to do this, Ryan? Like, seriously, what, you want them going there and trying to arrest the terrorists? That's not going to work. I just found that scene annoying, and then there's a couple other parts in the book I didn't like when Clancy shows a little, like, too much in the book. Like, there's a part where after Kathy crashes her car, he then shows a scene where her and her daughter being airlifted to a helicopter to be taken to a hospital. Okay, that's fine, but after that, he then shows another scene of the officers like cleaning up the highway and stuff after the accident, doing like their investigation report. I thought, okay, that was unnecessary. Um, and then there's the one scene I really didn't like where Ryan is talking to his wife, and then all of a sudden her father shows up and he wants to start a fight with him, and it's just this argument, and this scene was really just not necessary. It was just unwanted drama, and then after Ryan leaves so his wife can be with her father, he comes out and he tries again to start an argument, which Robbie has to step in and make him leave, and it's just like, why is this here? Please, just get this scene out. I don't need this. And then later on in the book, there's a part where some father and son are fishing, and they find the discarded weapons that the terrorists use, and to me, I felt this scene was not necessary. They could have had a part where Ryan is like doing his work at the CIA building, and then he's told by one of his colleagues that they found a stash of like weapons that the terrorists thrown. That would have been better. I don't need to see a scene of like people finding this stuff, and then Tom Clancy does it again a few more times. It's like, Clancy, you don't have to keep adding these scenes. I felt he was just adding a little too much. Like, for what I've been told on the Tom Clancy fan group on Facebook, he likes to get very detailed with his stories, and he likes to add a lot of scenes. I felt he was adding a little too much here. Like, some scenes I felt weren't necessary. The scenes I did like, when Jack Ryan's taking, shooting, like he's at the firing range, sharpening his shooting skills, and then he later gets like a pistol, and then he's like gets the security for his house. I thought those scenes were fine. Oh, I did find his wife a little annoying too when she's trying to convince her to get um, you know teach her how to shoot, and the idea of having a loaded gun in the house. She's of course against this, even the threat of this terrorist group coming after them. And I was just finding this scene annoying. Like, I was thinking to myself, this is going to come back to bite you when the terrorists show up. However, the ending is very different from the movie, so I thought, oh, okay. Oh yeah, there was a few other scenes where characters are kind of like talking to other characters, and this doesn't really lead to anything. It's just they're kind of like daily life and stuff. And again, I thought, Clancy, you really don't need to add all these scenes. Just stick more focus to the plot of the story. Um, but other than that, there was like some of these scenes were okay, but then as I said, there's some others I felt were unnecessary and just added a lot of drama. Oh yeah, and there's a lot of political drama in this book, like a little too much. I thought if Clancy cut some of this out, it would have shortened the book a bit because it was very thick, and trying to get through this book, it was taking longer than I expected to be. There was another scene that I was talking to some members about because I was kind of curious how this would translate onto the film if they put it in like when Jack Ryan meets the royal family members and then gets knighted, and then this dinner with the royal family members and other British agencies. I was kind of curious if that could have been done on the put into the film or not. I've been told that apparently the royal family members do not like seeing actors portray them, and they're very kind of fussy about it. And there was this one TV series, I don't know what's about, The Crown, where they absolutely dislike the actors portraying them. So I figured, oh, that's probably why they couldn't get that scene into the film. But I thought, you know what, it's okay. It's mentioned that Ryan gets united and is thanked by the royal family, but we don't see it. That's okay. The other scene I would have loved to seen in the film is Jack Ryan getting on a Concorde and flying from London to Washington. That would have been cool to see. It's like see Harrison Ford just like sitting in his chair. It's like, oh, I'm terrified of flying, but flying on a Concorde is so cool. So it would have been cool if they put that in the movie. Um, uh, Now the finale, I thought it starts off really strong. Like you got like the UAA like an all assault on Ryan's house, and it's during like a dinner, and a thunderstorm comes in. I was like, ooh, I'm really enjoying this. There's some really intense moments. However, I felt the finale just it could have been so much better. Spoiler alert. It's not like the scene in the film where Miller just goes after Ryan and the two just duke it out against each other while on a boat. Sally. Ryan and his friend Robbie, they go after the terrorists, and then they basically take down the remaining guys. Then Ryan has Miller where he wants him, and he's just thinking all the shit this guy has put him through, and he's thinking of just finish him off. And then Gunnery comes in and interferes and just convinces him not to kill him because quote unquote it's not worth it. And I was like, I hate this. I really hate when characters do this. This one scene where you got a character that's just so pissed off and wants to kill the villain for killing their loved one or just making their life a living hell, and wants to get back at them, and then some character has to come and interfere and prevent the other character from getting his or her revenge. And I just hate this. I would have preferred Jack Ryan killing Sean Miller and just basically putting this bastard out of his misery for all the shit he's put him through. So that's the one thing I really didn't like with the ending of the book. I just felt the finale started off strong, but then it just kind of went into a weak ending where the character doesn't get to finish off the villain, and he's of course arrested, and he's either going to be sent back to England or thrown into American prison. It's not explained, but I just really disliked that ending. I just felt this could have been better. However, the film of the same name I felt was a lot better. I felt it improves the story a lot, cuts out a lot of the scenes I felt were not necessary. As I said, like in the book, when Sean Miller is in court, and he just basically just stares at Ryan with his cold gray eyes and doesn't really say anything. In the film, I felt was a lot better as Sean Bean is like expressing anger and hatred towards Jack Ryan's to Harrison Ford's character. And he's more vocal, and I like that, because in the book I found him too quiet. And it's like, isn't this character going to say anything? He's just been silent the whole time we first met him, and he isn't until he's rescued when he starts talking again. In the film, I felt they improved that by making him more vocal and expressing his anger a lot, which I felt that was a much better improvement. Harrison and I felt that Harrison Ford does a good job playing Jack Ryan, and he's not a character that whines or complains a lot. He knows he has to get the job done. He knows what he has to do. He uh while he's not while he's not violent as John Clark is, but he knows that if he has to fight someone, he has to do it, or knows if the only way to solve this matter is to fight back, then he will do that. So that I liked. What else? There are some scenes I wish they could have put in the film, like Ryan like taking shooting lessons, and the flying the Concorde would have been nice too, and a few others. But the finale I felt was a lot better. I'm not going to spoil it, but I just prefer when Miller just lost it, and he doesn't care who he kills at this point, and is just hell bent on killing Jack Ryan. That I prefer a lot better in the film, and it felt way more intense. Despite the fact I wish it did have the scenes of like the UA members blowing up like police cars with like RPGs and shooting them down with like heavy machine guns. I wish that could have made it to the film too. But overall, I felt the film was definitely a lot better than the book was based on. But still, Patriot Games is still worth a read. Alright, that's it for the review today. Hope you enjoyed it, and then I will begin with the next book in the Jack Ryan and John Clark series, Red Rabbit. This is a very thick one. I'm going to try to read much as I can. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it, and don't forget to subscribe to October Library, the YouTube channel where I post book reviews, book hauls, and art fiction related content. Until then, I'll catch you later.